Hello and welcome back to Thoughts from the Trail. It has been a while since I've done a message, and after I had this amazing activity the other night, reading a book with my sweetheart who's on the other side of the globe, I wanted to share a few thoughts from that experience that, one, applied to us in our love relationship, but also apply to bigger concepts in life in general. And the book that we read was The Little Prince. It's a very popular book, known around the world, and shockingly, from me in the United States to her in China, we both ended up coming together, having this amazing experience together, reading this book and talking about what it means for us in our lives and for life in general. So what I've done today is I've written down a few of the key quotes out of the book that we spent a lot of time talking about, and I'm going to share some of them with you and maybe a few thoughts about them. Then, of course, at the end, I'm going to invite you to take a look. If you haven't read the book, The Little Prince, I recommend it. If you have, for me, I hadn't read it in well over 10 years. So one way or the other, I invite you to get back into it and maybe even do it with a loved one and see what it does and how it potentially coalesces and creates awareness in your relationship. So here's the first quote that I'm going to share. I think I have 5 that I'm sharing. The first one is, "It is the time that you have devoted to the rose that makes your rose so important." So this has broad meaning, but in the context of a relationship, the time that you dedicate to the relationship, to the health, to the joy, the strengthening of that relationship, interestingly enough, is in parallel with the importance and the significance of that relationship. So the more that you invest into it, the more that you pour your authentic and true, honest self into it, the more important comes. And when we discussed this together, it was very, very true and very evident along the course of our relationship development that we clearly saw this pattern happening. More investment, more importance, more joy, more love. So that's the first quote that I'll share with you. Another quote is this. And this is kind of interesting, and again, it has more application than just in the context of relationships, but this is the quote: "What makes the desert beautiful is that somewhere it hides a well." Now, some might think a desert's beautiful as it is, but thinking of just being vast areas of sand like is discussed in the book, it could be perceived as monotonous. But within that desert, there is a well that has a fount of water. And you'll see that when you read the book if you haven't yet. The same thing in relationships. Sometimes we may look at a partner in our relationship and maybe not be particularly inspired, or maybe not find what we feel are enough connection points. But combined with the first quote around investing into that rose, the rose being the relationship, you'll find that there are many wells within your loved one, within your partner. And conversely, they will find the wells within you. I love that idea of discovery. It's not to say that when two people come together, they don't automatically see things and are attracted to things about each other. But the more that we invest, the more that we have the opportunity to find those wells of water that may not have been initially visible to the eye. The third quote is an interesting one too, because it talks about the topic of judging. And I've spoken before on Thoughts for the Trail about the idea of judging. We should probably avoid judging in a harsh way, but I'm still going to share this quote to you because I still think it has meaning in context of a relationship. So here's the quote: "It is much harder to judge yourself than to judge others." Isn't that true? If you succeed in judging yourself correctly, then you are truly wise. And why that's important is when we bring ourselves to a relationship, we need to bring awareness of our complete self. And while we obviously want to focus on our strengths and the great things that we bring, we also need to be aware of things like the baggage that we bring to our relationship, any personal issues that we have, concerns and comments, and both parties do that. And again, I suggest it creates a deeper sense of understanding. It creates understanding and investment within the rose that I was talking about. And so if you focus on yourself as opposed to the other person, I think in a relationship that creates a strengthening and a development and a growing of the importance between the two loved ones in that relationship. So, okay, and then here, I love this one to death, and this applies to the one that I talked about, the desert. In the desert, what's beautiful about it is there's wells hidden. Here's the quote first. One sees clearly only with the heart. Anything essential is invisible to the eyes. So one sees clearly with the heart. It's so interesting to me how and the last quote that I'll share too, how they're all interconnected. There's nothing wrong with like seeing things like beauty, gifts, money, a house, a car, you know, things that sometimes are part of a relationship. But for me and my loved one, we talked about this greatly, and these are things that we started talking about from the beginning, about the idea of the communication, the things that we do that don't require buying anything, that don't require having anything, but the things that speak volumes about the love that you have in your heart for the partner, your other person, and the love that she has for me. We see those things, they're invisible to the eye, but in the mind and in the heart, they are screaming loud and clear. And they are, to me, they are the most important things of being in a relationship. Maybe it's not the same for you, or maybe you haven't thought about it, and I'm not saying I've thought about it in every possible way, so I'm continuing to think about it. But I invite you to think about this one. Sometimes it's easier for us to get caught up in the material things as opposed to what I would consider the invisible things. And I ask us to think about, what are those invisible things that are essential to your relationship? And then the last one is one of my all-time favorites, and they all connect in my opinion. And that is, all grown-ups were once children, but only a few of them remember it. And think about this. When we think about what a child brings, grace, honesty, creativity, trust, pure love, fun, a joy in life, most of us, I'm not saying all of us, but most of us either have that taken away in some capacity, or we give it away, or some combination of both as we go from childhood to adulthood. And one of the things I love about my relationship is that both of us have found a way to retain at least a strong enough component of our childlike purity that it is a strong bond for us. And we talk about it almost every day, and we act upon it almost every day. And it's such a joy. Honestly, sometimes when I think about our relationship, I feel like I'm a little child again in an adult's body. And it makes it magnificent. So reflect upon, and I continue to reflect upon this, both alone and with her, but I invite you to think about it as well. How can you restore childlike qualities to your life as an adult? Think about that. And then the last thing I want to share is this. And you can't see this very well, but this is a material gift that my friend gave me. My partner gave me this. And it kind of led to us getting to the point of reading the book together. This is a picture of HB 618, I think is what it's called. Yeah, HB 612, which is out of the book, if you've read the book. And this is the little prince on his planet. And throughout the book, you'll see that he discovers some things, and he's holding a rose right here. And that rose has significance. He's caring for the rose, and the more that he cared for it, the more important it became. And that is a great analogy for our relationships. The more that we invest in them, the more that we work at them, and the more that we bring those other qualities and ideas around the quotation, and we explore our childlike nature, we find that we are strengthening our relationship. And what is really magical about this, because I think of this, while it was a meteor or a planet floating in the sky, to me this represents the Earth, and how two people on almost opposite ends of the Earth, through investment and through childlike qualities in ourselves, and through time commitment, and through being kind and understanding, have developed such a strong bond that is persisting over time and is continuing to grow. And I'm so excited to see, as we continue to explore the desert and find the wells within each other, and use our childlike qualities of curiosity and pureness to learn and grow, and focus on judging ourselves or bringing our best selves to the relationship. All the things that I talk about in the quote kind of come together in this symbolic gesture. I'm so happy that we took the time to read. I'm so happy that she gave me this gift, and it led to this moment in our relationship where we read the book together, and not just read it, we talked about it for probably a total of 5 hours as we went through the book. It was an incredible experience. I'm not saying you can have that same experience, but I'm inviting you to consider it, and maybe you have your own version of it, whether it be by yourself or with other loved ones in your life. Well, that's what I'm thinking about today, The Little Prince, and a really great experience. I invite you to dig into it, and I thank you for joining me on this long overdue installment of Thoughts from the Trail, and I'll see you next time on the trail. Have a great day.